Welcome back, Billiken fans. It's Zach Miller and Peter Hale. It's the Midtown Madness Podcast. Before we get going, thank you so much for listening. If you're watching on YouTube, don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button. Pete, are we calling it season 5 yet? Is this a transition episode? I think it's just it's a bit of a transition episode. We are back. Well, we're going to be back for season 5, and it'll be brought to you by, of course, Two Men in a Garden. They're local. Their salsas, their pickles, all of their products are absolutely incredible. They've got all the salsa, all the pickles, any flavor you want. Or, whatever suits your individual preferences. You can pick up their many products at any local grocery store or online at twomeninthegarden.com, which, if you're particular about your salsa, that's where you want to go. Follow them on social media at Two Men Salsa on Instagram and Twitter. Pete, I bought these shirts, these jerseys, and at the gear sale. And it started out where I was consciously wearing them when we'd record. And then it just turned into, these are just really comfortable and the only things I wear around the house.
So you're just all jerseys all the time now?
Yeah. Yes, pretty much. I'm not kidding. I'm pretty much wearing a Billiken jersey at any given point when I'm at home.
So when does it go from being what you wear around the house to what you wear around town, like grocery shopping?
Is that the Kevin Smith parable?
Gym? Yeah, it starts around the house and then it just becomes what I like to wear.
I mean, I do. You won't catch me outside, not at work, not wearing a tank top in the summer. But they're a little more, day-to-day appropriate tank tops. I think there's some people that have listened to this show that would disagree that a tank top at any time is not appropriate.
I mean, you've got your dressy tank tops, and then you've got your home tank tops.
Yes,
sure.
Yeah, 100%. But I kicked off the episode kind of talking about gear because, well, hold on, wait a second, because I think I might have skipped over maybe the biggest news in college basketball because I forgot about it.
It's been almost a full week, Zach, since it happened, but
the Fyre Fest of college basketball is what they're calling it.
It's what they're calling it, and it's pretty spot on, Zach, because I don't care what kind of week any of you have had listening to this. It cannot be worse than the week that George Mason men's basketball had. They got to the airport only to find out there were no flights booked, and soon thereafter they realized there were no games booked and no hotel rooms booked. Their trip was canceled, but not before some of their donors had already landed in the Bahamas, where they were scheduled to play one of those international preseason trips, right? Like they had publicized, they'd sent graphics out with a game schedule. Here's the teams we're playing and the dates and times and location. And they had people on the ground, like fans, donors, whatever, down there, ready to go. And the team was stood up at the airport by a complete lack of organization on the other end. But things kept getting more interesting from there, Zach, right? Because as it turns out, this whole trip was booked by the former AAU coach of their highest profile transfer this season, KD Johnson. And this guy, now I guess he does a lot of different things in addition to AAU basketball. He's got this company, what is it, Revive 7?
Yes. Yeah, I don't. What a freaking nightmare.
And he has apparently organized, Chris Williams is his name. He has apparently organized either trips or events related to college basketball in the past. But the initial word on this, Zach, was that he had stood them up for the last couple months, like just ghosted them and, made off with a nice chunk of money from their program to book this whole thing and see it through. But the day this story broke, he released a statement through his company and tried to sort of counter some of that narrative, but I don't know how successful or not he was. In the meantime, George Mason kind of became a laughingstock for a day, if not for a week, in college basketball.
I mean, I don't. There's a lot to unpack here, Pete,
Mhm.
because where who does what happened here? Where I mean, you talk about the connection between Chris Williams and Katie Johnson
Mhm.
and George Mason, and so the question is, how much of this was like not a I guess an exchange for the services of Katie Johnson, and you know, I, I guess how much who knew what and who uh, dude, there's so many questions I
So,
have. Let's
so the
start with that first one. The KD Johnson, Chris Williams, George Mason connection.
yeah, so the conspiracy theories have flown all over the place on this one, but I think so. At the core here, people are suggesting that Katie Johnson, to get him to go to George Mason, one of the conditions was let this guy organize this thing, and maybe some of that thought being KD gets an extra little kickback from this on top of what NIL he's already getting. And I don't know what the legality of that would be. Maybe it is perfectly legal if he declares it on his, on his taxes at the end of the year. I have no idea whether that's legal or not. It's certainly not the most ethical thing to do. Um, but it's also possible, Zach, that they were already working with this guy to organize this trip, and maybe he kind of helped because they were a customer. Maybe he helped steer KD their way, or to to the schools that he works with. So that's also possible here. I've heard people say that they think someone within the program is dirty and maybe had stood to benefit from this. But my question is, you have to know at some point you're going to get off the bus at the airport with this team, and they're not going to have the accommodations they thought they had.
What whether it's the coaches who are have found out already, or singular coach or staff member
Yeah.
that knows already that this is a sinking ship, and they know that this isn't happening. So the idea is that Chris Williams would have told said staffer, and they just would have not done anything about it, and just hoped and prayed that Chris Williams would figure it out, you know, last minute. Or Chris Williams doesn't knows and doesn't tell George Mason. I mean, there's so many different people this could fall on,
So
including Tony Skinn.
Williams is claiming that the games were booked and that there were hotel rooms waiting for them. It's just the flights that didn't get booked because he passed those along to a third party, travel agent to book. So it's possible that this is just incompetence on his part, right? Like it's certainly possible that it just didn't get done the way it was supposed to. He took the travel agent's word, never followed up. And by the way, I guess nobody in the program followed up, because
Yeah.
I like to see confirmations.
Yes.
As soon as something's booked, I want something in my email that I can take
Yeah.
my phone and put it in a gate agent's face and say, I get on this plane, right? I get through security. It's right here, like I need something, some kind of paper trail to give me the comfort that like this stuff is booked. But apparently no one within their program and Chris Williams do not need that same comfort. So it could just be gross incompetence and people not crossing their T's and dotting their I's in the summer. It doesn't make sense to me as a crime with an insider at all, because it's like that person doesn't have an out, right? It's like, so you do this for an extra, I don't know, 5 figures, splitting up this pot with this guy, but like you're still part of this program. Like I didn't see a coach like leave in the past 2 months or something like that. The only way this makes sense as like a real crime is if Chris Williams himself disappears, um, and is in the Bahamas with a
Or it's
bunch of
Tony
money from a bunch of
Skinn.
different programs. I, I mean, as much as you say the buck stops at the top of the program, I just have a hard time believing that the head coach. I mean, this is very much
Yes.
having worked with multiple head coaches. This is very much one of those things that they're like, those guys, that guy takes care of this. I don't do this stuff, like I'm the head coach. He was going to the airport like anybody else, expecting to have a week-long trip to the Bahamas.
Yeah.
So instead they get to stay back in the Washington, D.C. area during an election year in the summer. And apparently it rained half the week too. So it was just like, insult to injury, not getting your trip and not really having a good place to go on top of it. I do feel bad for the players that had nothing to do with this, but I gotta say, Zach, our interactions with George Mason fans have been
Terrible.
as bad or
Oh,
worse as like Dayton and VCU. So like
I mean, just
I'm feeling pretty good about all of this.
on the, I mean, the buck on that one stops with that idiot college baseball writer, blogger that accused SLU of cheating.
Oh, yeah, there's that.
I
Yeah, there's
mean,
there's the women's soccer game that was played at a monsoon.
yes.
There's just anytime we play them and our mentions explode with guys who spend all day online.
Hey, I resemble that remark.
No, I mean just they're my, with the exception of PD Buckets, who is on Twitter and one of my absolute favorite A10 people. It seems like a genuinely nice guy. That fan base, and I have no love lost for them.
No,
So yeah, there's a little bit of Schadenfreude going. Well, maybe more than a little, I gotta
I
say.
think the only thing that would have made this better is if it was Kim English still as the
Yeah.
head coach.
Who said that? Somebody said that was I can't remember if
It
that may
wasn't
have been
West
on
Pine.
Discord. It was
Yeah.
somebody on Discord said that, and sorry, I'm not remembering who it was, but whoever said that was absolutely spot on,
Yes.
because as soon as he said that, I was like, that's absolutely right. If this were
He
Kim
didn't. He
English,
never came on the podcast, by the way.
he didn't.
I know.
No, yeah, there's another George Mason interaction between us and them
And a head coach.
and a head coach. Like,
I mean,
don't
and
text and
that's
drive,
not the
coach.
weirdest. And that's not the weirdest of interactions we've
It's
had.
always something. It's always something with George Mason. But yeah, hope it goes better next summer, guys. That's all I gotta say.
Um, well, I started in on the gear aspect of this
Yes.
episode. Yeah.
Yeah, let's
And
get back to it.
yeah. Series 6 merchandise just kind of appeared on the SLU bookstore website at some point in the last 3 months. Because that's the last time I remember checking. I have it on my calendar to check the
Once quarterly.
yes, quarterly.
Yes, gotta see the fall rollout, the fall collection.
Yes. It's on what is that? Is it Labor Day? Yeah. Well,
Mhm.
yeah, Labor Day,
Right.
fall, you can't wear white after Labor Day. I put away the home jerseys. Um, by the way, shout out to WUH on Billikens.com, because he was the one that he's kind of known about this whole transition from, he's been the one that kind of told people about it.
Yeah.
But he mentioned that there was some new gear out there, but he didn't say that it was Series 6, and it was a nice surprise when I got over there and saw that they finally had dropped what they were talking about. It's not on the Series 6 website. I'm going to guess this is going to be exactly like how the Blues have it set up, where the Series 6 stuff is sold inside the arena.
Right.
So I'm guessing the SLU shop in the arena will have this stuff. But again, Pete, this is what we like. This is what our style in a lot of ways. When it comes to the t-shirts and but it's vintage. They're vintage logos, soft tri-blend, t-shirts, hoodies.
Yeah.
By the way, the designs are great. I love that they're including roll bills, because
Yeah.
I just still think how funny that is, that kind of organically grew out of like kind of a half joke, like a tongue in cheek
Yeah.
roll bills. And then it became a thing. But I'm begging one of these companies, please bring back the kicking Billiken, please, from
Yeah.
the soccer jacket. I don't know. I'd love to see it. Also, I popped in on Rally House's website, and noticed a ton of random new items. It seems like to me, it just felt like looking through is like SLU has like a package deal with like a rally house or whatever, where they just kind of they get like 600 items or whatever, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
Versus like a 200 item package. It feels like that got up because there's just a ton of Cutter and Buck stuff.
Right.
And then there's a lot of new kid stuff, which is a brand called Viva La Fête. And they've got like kind of a stylish, kind of like I want to say like an East Coast beach vibe or like a English beach vibe.
Right.
But they've got like swim trunks, t-shirts, and then they've got leggings for women, which they're kind of sick. I don't know how else to describe them. But yeah, get on over there if you're looking to get some new gear because
So
they
let's
put
let's be
out.
specific about where we're looking, Zach,
Yeah,
because
it's at the SLU bookstore website.
it's a little tough to navigate to. Okay, yeah.
But you
So
can
it's at
also go to you go to slubillikens.com and you go to
yes,
shop and it's the Billiken shop, which I'm glad they got rid of that terrible ass company they partnered with.
but it's the Billiken shop. You go in there and it's
Yep.
not necessarily obvious where it is because if you shop by
Mhm.
category at the bottom, it doesn't take you to this new stuff, right?
Oh,
Like
okay.
it's you have to go to merchandise.
Yeah.
You
Billiken
have to go
gear and more.
Billiken gear and then merchandise, and then you start seeing these things. And there's some of the home field stuff in there, in
Yes.
addition to the new stuff that you're talking about, the Series 6. I gotta say, Zach, I had told myself and my wife, I don't need any more SLU stuff. I can't possibly. And then
And then they go
and
and do
then
something like this and totally redeem themselves.
I saw these designs, and that Billiken soccer shirt
I
is
love it.
so good.
Oh,
I mean, it says Billiken soccer. It's got my favorite Billiken, the one
yeah.
from the early 70s with the crown cocked off to the side over a soccer ball, Billiken soccer on the top. It's an incredible shirt. It's
Yep.
so nice. And it comes in a crew neck sweatshirt too.
I love this.
They
And
pulled me back in.
I know West Pine Bills, and actually West Pine Bills tweeted out about this shirt, and it's the three Billikens with the basketball,
Yeah.
which is incredible. And just to kind of prove how incredible that is, this design is Dayton Sully, the podcaster for Dayton.
Yeah.
He said that logo is so sick, I would wear that.
Yeah.
So
It's great. And
um,
they both come in so that one that you're talking about comes in an ivory and
yeah.
in a light blue. And the light blue, the dark blue on light blue looks awesome on both of these shirts.
Okay.
Really
Wait, you
cool.
think you like the light blue?
I do like the light blue.
Okay. Okay.
The crew neck sweatshirt only comes in kind of like a light gray, what they
I
call an
love that
ash
it's
gray.
ivory. I
Yeah,
love that it's
ivory.
ivory because
It's like off-white.
I don't wear white. I can't, it's just bad news. I stain that stuff.
You just don't mess with it. I mean, I kind of want this thing in every color. So
Here's the one that here low key. I think the one it's the t-shirt that says roll bills on it with your favorite Billiken. I like the Carolina Tar Heel combination. The navy blue
yeah.
with the light
Is
blue
that
roll bills.
I thought that was black, but that is navy. Oh
No, it's
wow.
navy. It, it's
I'm
it's so reminiscent of like oh 1993. Like
yeah.
to me that screams 1993. Like
Yeah, where there's like just
there's
like a
flooding
big
all in
graphic,
South
right?
County and that's what the 93. If
Yeah. The
the
graphics that
because
take up a lot of a shirt.
well yeah that and that was around the time that SLU was embracing when no maybe maybe I'm thinking it's 93 because my uncle was wearing it in 93, but he bought it in like the 80s because that's like that 80s blue and navy
Yeah,
that I really dig it. I don't know.
it's pretty cool.
Yeah. I actually didn't even get into these until just now. Like I saw them but I didn't really uh look at them.
They're
But
pretty great.
yeah, I think I still think the one with the slew kind of it's the interconnected SLU
Right.
diagonally.
With the
Yeah.
standing turtleneck billiken.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean that's good stuff. It's a specific, it's so specific to a year. Like I can imagine that year. I just ugh. It's ridiculous nostalgia
Yeah.
that I'm experiencing. By the way, I remember loving that home field running Billiken logo. And I really
Oh
don't like
yeah.
I that's my least favorite one now. I
Oh
remember
really?
being, yeah, that logo is way too small on that shirt.
Huh.
Not to like
Okay.
be mean to people that were nice
Yeah.
to us. Yeah, so get on it, get over there and check out this Series 6 stuff. It is fantastic.
Yeah, it is.
Uh, Pete, the NIL store continues to roll out player specific stuff in their store, in the SLU store, which was number 4 of all stores hosted by Campus Inc. in July. All others were big time power conference programs. Pete, I read these posts where they're like, where they put us up, like it feel like I can't comprehend it. My brain says it's fake.
I know,
Eh,
and we debated last time when they were number 6 for the month of June. We were kind of like, well, what does this mean? How important is this? How many schools are in there? You know, like what does this number mean? And we had a couple athletes who were kind of, really highly rated, as we did again in July, different ones this time. And I don't know what it means except to say that we seem to be doing well in
mhm.
this and like maybe outperforming expectations a little bit. But really, the thing that I wanted to highlight here is just that it seems like every week there are more and more athletes with player specific merch, right? And not just like those general templates that you can buy.
Yeah.
So I would encourage people to pop in there every now and again just to kind of see what new things have been added, because maybe there's somebody you cheer for or who you've always liked or who's been around a while, and you can grab a piece of their merch that's maybe a little bit different than everything on the store.
Max McGuire has not been added to baseball yet. I can report
Yet.
that.
Yet. Can't wait to see what he's got. But Zach, you also went over into Rally House recently, didn't you? Or did you already go
No,
over?
I already went into that, but
Oh,
I
gotcha. Oh
was,
yeah, because that's the V. Yeah, yeah, okay.
I went to, but I was thinking it is kind of funny that we are seeing a major influx of not only like we knew that Series 6 stuff was coming, but I don't think I mean, the Rally House editions, the bookstore has kind of expanded offerings. I mean, I've never even heard of Viva La Fête, which I guess is not surprising because I'm neither a woman nor a child. Um, but like, I just find it interesting that they're expanding into the more niche uh producers of clothing than I thought they'd ever go.
Yeah, and that brand in particular is like, for someone who does, the other 3 people in my house are a woman and 2 children. This is really like the kind of stuff my wife has always asked for, because so much of what comes in college bookstores historically and pro shops, too, because she's always wanted kind of more of a feminine cut of like
Mhm.
a throwback Reds jersey, like the V-neck. Doesn't exist, can't find it anywhere. She's always wanted one. So brands like this kind of fill that market niche. And I think you're right that seeing SLU branch into some of these other brands that are more specific, it's finally actually making me take a second look, instead of just that like generic bookstore stuff we've always had that kind of looks like anybody else's.
Yeah,
um
I was kind of upset that the board shorts or whatever, the swim trunks were they just had youth style. They're kind of like old-timey, striped beach shorts.
right.
you'd see from like a black and white picture.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yep.
exactly. Yeah, it's but that's apparently what this brand does, because I'm looking at their slew shop right now, and it looks like they've got mid 20s. They've got like 20, 24, 28 different items on here. Um, and it is mostly geared toward kids. But some of it's pretty nice actually. It looks pretty
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
A lot of it's for like babies and toddlers and
I'll
little
get you a
kids.
pair of those leggings for your birthday, Pete. Don't
Yeah,
worry.
I'm not sure that those are going to be in my size. But that's certainly the kind of style, these paintbrush looking leggings.
Yes.
Everybody
I
would like
don't
to
know
see me in
about the
those.
jeggings they were offering. I'm not too sure on those.
Yeah, no, I don't. That's an
I
interesting
hadn't
item.
heard the word jeggings in probably 10 years.
Apparently, they still exist, and if you want them with a slew logo, today's your lucky day. But yeah, that's if you go to Viva Lafette's website, and go to they have a college
Wait, hold on,
drop down at
hold
the
on.
top.
Viva La Fettes?
Well, I did the
The
possessive.
no the Chez Fettes, Viva La Fettes.
Oh, I see what you're doing here. I,
Yeah.
I I thought you were trying to correct my
No, no. Oh, you thought
yeah.
I'd correct you and not just like make a stupid fucking joke?
I mean, I
You
should have
thought
known
you,
better. I should have
yeah.
known better. You're not gonna say the comma shouldn't go there or whatever.
No, yeah.
Uh, yeah, no, I like what you're doing there, Zach. Keep workshopping that. Maybe we'll have something next week.
I'll put my hard hat on. No one's in construction.
Yep. Don't hurt
Uh,
yourself.
yeah. Let's talk scheduling, Pete. I think they've heard enough of me drone on about merchandise.
Yeah, and this was good, Zach. And we got to shout out West Pine Bills. Everybody knows, how great they are, the work they do on Twitter. They're always breaking stuff, finding stuff, and sharing stuff like this. Tom Ackerman's show on KMOX the other day, Coach Josh Schertz was on, and he did drop a few interesting scheduling related tidbits. He said that Phil Gaetano was the lead on the staff on putting the schedule together. They do think a few of these teams are going to be better than people realize. So he thinks there's, even though we're already saying there's no headliners, it doesn't look great on paper. They think the numbers are going to be better for us than people would think. The two-time non-Division One opponent aspect of the schedule, they say is really just a one-off. It's for this year, but he did note that multiple Mountain West Conference teams did have this on their schedules last year and wound up with that large bid. So it can be done, even though that conference was quite a bit stronger than the A10 last season, but it's possible. And then, as we've mentioned before, power conference opponents were hard to land just because they were unsure how good SLU would be this year. He did call out specifically Mizzou, K-State, and Marquette. I don't know if those are teams that they reached out to and specifically said no, or if he's just kind of saying those are the kind of teams we would like to play. But regardless, that's those are the teams that he mentioned on the show, and I thought that was interesting.
I like it. Uh,
Yeah,
you know, squeaky wheel gets the grease.
yeah, yeah. I think that's true. I think that's true.
Let's see. Uh, Schertz also went on the field of 64 with Jeff Goodman. It's kind of funny because I mean, Jeff Goodman wouldn't be caught dead in the same on the same phone call as Travis Ford. And now he is all about SLU all the time.
He's, as we know from Jeff Goodman and his activity, he's definitely somebody who has his guys, right? Like his coaches that he goes to the mat for, and then other ones that he kind of neglects. And I don't think that's necessarily the best journalism, but it's how he works.
I mean, it seems like it's the way kind of all college basketball writers or tweeters or whatever the hell Rothbot is.
Yeah.
I mean, he's got his coaches too.
I think Rothstein's guys are the ones who actually reply to him, or who have a staff member who reply to him, because he will text somebody on the staff every single day, every single program. I don't know if he has a program that does like a computer program that does that for him, But I have seen screenshots from assistants before that just show the same text over and over and over and over from Rothstein, Rothbot, as we so lovingly know him. So yeah, you're right. Everybody does have their guys. Everybody does have their methods and their reasons. But it was kind of an interesting little interview, Zach. It's about 24 minutes long, rounding up a little bit for his intro and a commercial break. But um, Schertz said a few things. Like they started out with a surprising amount about Indiana State that was, kind of interesting and everything. But when they got around to his hiring process, he said Slew did the best job of prioritizing him from the start, like him personally, not just here's what we're looking for in this point in time, but him. And then he added, if Indiana State had lost earlier in the NIT, quote, I probably would have been somewhere else, end quote. But because they played longer into the tournament, Chris May really sold him on the school, the athletic department, and then their values within it. So he said, another quote here, this decision wasn't made as early as a lot of people think. And it's funny, Zach, because the narrative that we as SLU fans have given ourselves is that we were his, he was ours all along. Like and maybe that ended up being true, but maybe throughout the process that wasn't as done a deal as we thought it was.
I went out on a limb.
I'm glad it ended up being true in the end. It makes all of us look better, right?
Yeah, I think so. I don't even remember. Like a lot of it I probably blacked out.
Yeah,
For
well, there were definitely other schools interested. I mean, he acknowledged as much on there.
no, I just
Good.
mean like I don't remember the exact timeline
Yeah.
to what allowed me to so boldly
Oh,
claim.
I see.
Like I have no idea. I couldn't tell you who told me, when they told
Yeah.
me, why they told me.
Yeah.
I
But it,
so
it is true that other schools throughout the process
yeah.
were ringing him up, and Louisville was one of them. I don't know if they ultimately would have ended up really making him their number one priority or not, but it was definitely a factor. So something to keep in mind. Like if they had lost early in the NIT, maybe he still would have been here. But very well might not have been. But in the end, he said SLU does have everything necessary to compete on a national level. And then he had a couple other quotes. One was about Robbie Avila. He said he's just a happy guy, like he's a really positive guy. And the difference between him and a lot of other players in the age of the portal is that he didn't have anyone in his ear last year telling him he shouldn't be happy. So I really like that, Zach, because as fans, we always worry about players' camps, and their parents and their former coaches and all of the people who might be in their ear telling them you need to transfer. Here's why, or here's where you can get paid more money, or whatever. And he said Robbie just didn't have that, and I love that, Zach, because it just says not only is he a positive, happy guy like Schertz said, but he's got a really good support structure and not the kind of people trying to just chase top dollar and get something out of it. So I thought that was just really great to hear. And he
Yeah.
said, in addition to that being a huge difference between him and a lot of other guys out there, he's just a man of his word, and money isn't the top factor. His role in the offense and his minutes and his relationship with the head coach and assistant coaches, his comfort level at the school itself, all of those are a really big deal to him. And I know I say that as people see him on social media driving around his brand new Cadillac, but there would have been a few more bucks available at a few other places
Oh
for sure.
God, yeah.
So I think Slew's lucky, but also taking the right approach here and going
Well,
after high character people with good support structure behind them.
well, yeah, I think that's kind of always the plan, right? They're guys who it's their priorities are in that spot. That's really
Mhm.
you have to weed out the ones that really are like that, the ones that just say they're like that. And I think they've done that. I mean, I guess that was a Ford thing, but Jimerson is one of those people feels like
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
Larry and Kellen as
Hmm.
well. I mean, obviously like not just because they decided to stay, but I do think that, Larry Hughes probably could have gotten a little something more elsewhere or gone elsewhere for more playing time.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. I don't think there's
doesn't
any
have to be
question about
money.
that. But that kind of dovetails in with the last thing I pointed out from his remarks here, Zach. He said the offense won't be exactly the same as it was last year at Indiana State because the personnel has changed. The main hallmarks of what we do will be there, even if the way we get there doesn't look identical. But then he did call out specifically Gibson, Jimerson, and Kellen Thames, and then a couple other guys briefly, but saying they really are better fits in our offense than people realize. Like he really likes, Jimerson, obviously for his shooting ability is just such a natural fit. But he called out a lot of the things that Thames does and brings to the table. And even as we saw in that scrimmage, Thames is very much learning this system and everything. A lot of his attributes fit in really well, and over time, I think we're going to see that. So I thought that was pretty cool as well.
Pete, there was some recruiting news this week. We've got an official visit, an offer that's off the board. Well, two offers that are off the board.
Yeah, and I'll wipe those. I'll close the loop on those first. Jaden Fort had a slew offer, and he's going to Georgetown. He also reclassified to 2024, so he's going to play right away. And we had him as a 2025 recruit. And then Cameron Wallace, just to close the loop on him, he's from Philly. He's heading to Temple. Had an offer from SLU, but that was originally with Ford's staff. So neither of those are guys that I expected to ultimately be in the mix on. But we do have an official visit coming to campus on the 26th of September, Zach, and that is Adriel Nyorha. I'm going to have to learn how to say his last name properly if this visit goes well. But he's visiting on the 26th of September, a few days after he goes to DePaul for an official visit. He's the 6'5" point guard from Ontario who's playing at a prep school in North Carolina. He actually has some really good offers, some high level offers, but it's not a huge number of offers. So it would be really nice to see him already kind of zeroing in on his favorites this fall. I think that would be great to see. So if SLU is up against, Big East and I think a couple other A10 schools for his services, that's pretty good because, a 6'5" point guard, if he has a good enough prep year in North Carolina, you could have ACC schools breathing down his neck and SEC and everything. So definitely a recruitment to keep your eye on. And in about 6 weeks, hopefully we see him on campus.
Pete, you talked about Adriel's favorites there. What's one of your favorite things, Pete?
Zach, that would be 2 Men in a Garden salsa. And a man of my word, about 2.5 hours ago, as we record this, a
So that's why
UPS
you were
box.
counting on recording.
That's exactly right. A UPS box landed on my porch from 2 Men in a Garden. And I told people I was going to order what they told me to order on Twitter. And I did it. And they picked out for me medium salsa, a little bit of an unboxing video here, but I'm not going to do all the plastic wrap that they do on these to keep them safe. So they got a medium salsa for me. And then two more salsas. They didn't go too crazy with these. We got the cantina style. And then we also did the hot mango salsa. But Zach, they did get a little more, uh, you know, out of the up the middle zone on the pickles, and they got the spicy dill for me. So not the oddest flavor, not the smoky barbecue, which I think is the most unique flavor, but also not the regular dill that I've always, tried to keep in my fridge. They got those for me. And then two more items. We got a real deal dill pickling pouch. And I'm going to be honest, I went ahead and ordered a bunch more of these. I think they might have thrown in an extra. I ordered one of the smoky chipotle. I've got, I think 6 of the real deal dill. I think I ordered 5 and they gave me a little bonus, which was nice. Whether that was intentional or not, I thank them very much for that. And then last but not least, I got one of their partner products for the first time. I ordered the Antonino's Tavern marinara sauce. I love this place on the hill. It's kind of a Greek Italian restaurant. 24-ounce jar there, marinara, good price, and it looks great. I can't wait to get into this. I don't know if I'm going to do some meatballs in this, maybe find some toasted ravs somewhere. to order. But yeah, I'm really excited about this box, Zach. My snacking needs are now covered for the next, honestly, probably week, but it's great. It's great stuff. And you should also head over to twomeningarden.com and pick up your box however you like to make it today.
And we got a promo code, which we haven't gotten that live yet, but you will be the first to know if you follow us on Twitter when that code goes live.
Absolutely.
We've got soccer exhibition action, Pete. Men's soccer with a 1-0 win at Omaha on Saturday the 10th in the exhibition game. Max Floriani got the only goal. Next up, they will play another exhibition versus Evansville Friday the 16th. Pete, on the women's side.
Yeah, the women did exactly what you think they would have done. At Evansville, they won 4-0 on Saturday the 10th. I think this was just a few hours after the men played, if I'm not mistaken. I think men played an earlier game and they
Yep,
played late afternoon. So it was impossible to make both given the geography. But
I
um,
did.
in in this exhibition game, they went up 3-0 at halftime. They scored in the 9th, 11th, and 29th minutes, and then added an insurance goal in the 75th. SLU only allowed 4 shots in the game. And by the way, we don't have a ton of details about this game. They don't really post highlights. They don't post box scores, anything like that. The recaps are a few sentences long. So that's we're giving you everything we were able to kind of muster up on these games. But suffice to say, both teams are off to a good start in their exhibition season.
Yeah, they are. Ahead of the home opener or the opening game for the Billiken women, the rankings are out, the preseason rankings. United Soccer coaches, they were 12th last week. Top Drawer Soccer, they came in at 8 in the initial poll. Pete, and some individual honors in the top 100.
Yeah, that's right. And we do still we have them still at number 12. I think the preseason poll goes out a little earlier. Normally they update that every week and we would have had a new one today, but United Soccer Coaches, they didn't update yet. So that's why we still have that number 12 there. But yeah, 4 Billikens are in the Top Drawer Soccer preseason top 100. Lindsay Heckel was 5th, Emily Gaby 17th, Emily Percelli 31st, and Hannah Larson 46th. Zach, any surprises there to kind of see where they stack up nationally?
I mean, where's Sawyer at?
Yeah, I think so. I think she's kind of a wild card, right?
Uh,
Like
no,
I could see.
I don't know. I mean, I think I'm just shocked to see Billikens as high as 5th and 17th best.
Yeah, I mean, Hackle coming back to be a grad student, has already established herself as one of the best defenders nationally. It's great to see her that high. Percelli, I honestly think could be a little higher. That means they probably have a couple goalkeepers ahead of her. And I think there's maybe some kind of upside there. And Hannah Larson at 46, I think is pretty great. I wouldn't have expected to see her that high, even though I think she's absolutely a top 50-ish player. So just really cool to see. And we know how dangerous Gaby is. So to see her
Yes.
17th, I didn't think was the least bit surprising.
Next up for the Billiken women, the regular season, we'll start with the home opener against Kansas City on Thursday the 15th. The Kangaroos finished 3-7-8 last season, good for 233rd in the RPI. The Billikens beat them 8-0 at home with 7 different goal scorers and outshot the Roos 22-1. By the way, if you haven't checked your email, you might have an offer for complimentary tickets for this game waiting for you. And I believe they've extended it out for a couple games, but hit your email immediately if you're trying to go to that game.
Yeah, absolutely.
Maddie Picorni, we've got some news from Maddie in the NWSL.
She scored her first pro goal for Racing Louisville FC on Tuesday. Again, right before we hit record on this show. First goal. And by the way, if you have a chance to go catch a game in Louisville, they have a beautiful soccer stadium downtown, not far from the river. not far from, 64, 71, the highways that go through right by the north end of the stadium there. It is a very, very cool stadium. It's only a few years old. It looks great from the outside. I haven't seen a game there yet, but they are really fortunate to be playing in a facility like that, soccer specific, downtown, very new, cool. Only 4 hours from St. Louis, so go check it out if you ever have a shot.
On the field hockey, coming up are exhibition games tonight. As you listen, Wednesday the 14th at Ball State. They'll be at Iowa on Saturday the 17th, and then they will come home for their home opener versus Maryville Sunday the 25th. Actually, I believe that's an exhibition game, but it is the first chance to see the new home of SLU Field Hockey on the South Campus. This will be the inaugural match of that new field.
Yeah, and then they have, I think, just a few days later, the regular season opener there as well. So
Yes.
they've got a few early regular season games there. So if you can't make it on Sunday the 25th, over the next couple weeks after that, you should get another shot. But Zach, yeah, hopefully you can make it down there. I don't know when I'm going to be in St. Louis again, but hopefully we can get a report, boots on the ground soon of what the new facility looks like.
I've been meaning to drive over there. Like, I think I was on SLU campus Sunday, and I didn't drive by there. That was kind of dumb. It actually occurred to me to turn left, but it ended up going straight back to back home. Pete, one last note. Get her in the game luncheon.
They just sent out a save the date for this annual fundraiser. It's scheduled for October 24th at 5 p.m. at the Champion Center. So, a couple months early notice, but we just wanted to kind of put it in people's ears if you either went last year or if you missed it last year and were interested in it. But it's a good fundraiser to raise money for women's sports. And it'd be a good way to get on campus, support a good cause. And we'll send you a reminder in a couple months from now when it's closer to happening. But be sure to check that out.
Yeah, that's gonna do it for us with the Midtown Madness podcast. Thank you guys again for listening. Don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button, comment on YouTube, rate on all platforms, all that good stuff. And of course, don't forget to pick up 2 Men in a Garden salsa and or pickles. As always, Pete, go Bills.
Go Bills.